The Chicago Bulls are off to a hot start to the 2022 NBA season, being just one of 5 teams in the league to win 5 of their first 6 games. That loss was just by a single point too. Chicago is a team I've really enjoyed watching this season in the games I've been able to catch, and there's been a few things I've seen that give me a lot of confidence about the potential success of this team this season. Admittedly, I haven't been able to catch all of Chicago's games, just a handful as I'm in the middle of my exam period at school right now. But again, from what I've seen, there's been plenty of positive signs that the Bulls' contender status is legitimate. So, in today's video, I'll be taking a look at the Chicago Bulls season so far, the players who are playing well, and finally some other factors that I think overall are making this side one of the best in the league early on. Before we start, if you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe for more NBA content like this. I'm trying to reach 18,000 subscribers, so all support would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls. As of when writing this script, the Chicago Bulls are 6-1 on the young season and simply look amazing. They've had some really quality wins over some top tier teams, and though they're in a pretty rough stretch right now, schedule-wise, facing a lot of contenders over the next month or so, it's hard to not consider them as favourites for a lot of those games. That's how great they've been. They started the season with comfortable wins over mediocre teams like the Pistons and Pelicans, and though they seemed a tad shaky to begin with, they've found their rhythm in these easier games, and now the chemistry appears through the roof. The most impressive games from Chicago to date, in my view, have been their wins against Boston and Utah, and I'd even say the loss to New York was a good game as well. They just fell short at the line. Against Boston, Chicago stormed home after going down 19 during the third, outscoring Boston 39 points to 11 in the fourth quarter. That kind of comeback requires passion, camaraderie, and effort, and those are all the things that this new look Bulls squad has displayed early on. The win against Utah I felt was pretty significant too, and began to show Chicago's legitimacy as a contender. Utah is a damn good team, like it or not, and to beat them on their home court is a great sign for things to come. There's a couple of big reasons why I feel the Bulls have played so well early on this season. 2 to be specific, that I have noted in these couple of games that I've watched. So I'm going to discuss them now. The first is roster construction. The way this team is currently built just works so well. The fit of every player is pretty much perfect with each other. So, let's talk about some of the players on this roster playing well so far this season and how they've contributed to Chicago's near immaculate start. The first player we just have to discuss is Zach LaVine. The OG of this core, LaVine has continued his upward trajectory into 2022 and could finally reap some reward for his brilliant play and get into the playoffs. Through 7 games, LaVine is averaging numbers of 26 points per game, 5 rebounds and 5 assists on solid shooting splits. There's been a lot of discussion since the season started about who the best player on the Bulls is, and to me, I still think it's quite easily LaVine. DeMar has been simply brilliant, and I'll talk more about him later, but LaVine's impact, at least offensively, is unmatched in my opinion for this Bulls side. While LaVine's efficiency has taken a slight dip early on this season, it's still very good at a true shooting percentage of 61%. That's thanks to his elite free throw shooting to begin the year, getting to the line the most he ever has in his career to date, and currently knocking down over 95% of his attempts at the stripe. Obviously, we can expect a bit of a drop off there, but I think we can also expect a rise in his 3-point shooting as well. So they will cancel each other out probably, so I think his great true shooting percentage isn't something we should expect to see decline. It'll probably even get better as the season goes on. Furthermore, in terms of impact offensively, LaVine is arguably the best he's ever been in his short NBA career, currently at a career-high offensive box plus minus of positive 5.6. I know stats don't necessarily show the full picture, but I think those numbers I've showed you today provide some great indications about how well LaVine has played early on and why Chicago have been so good with him at the helm on offense. The season is still young, so I won't overreact too much, but LaVine has been great to watch so far this season, and the numbers are backing up his exceptional play for Chicago. The other player who has been killing it offensively for Chicago through their first 7 games is DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan is averaging over 25 points per game on the season on near 50-40-90 shooting efficiency. He's been incredible. DeRozan was the key factor in marching home strong against the Celtics the other night, and is quieting the doubters who called him a bad fit in Chicago. Like LaVine, DeRozan is having one of the best seasons of his career impact-wise on offense, at least since playing for Toronto. He's currently got an offensive box plus minus of +4 through these first 7 games. Again, I know it's early and a lot can change, but it's a really positive sign for Chicago, who want to be considered legitimate contenders. Overall, DeMar has looked great, and the duo of him and LaVine is working pretty much as well as it could have to begin the year. For a Chicago team that's been relatively inconsistent offensively the past few seasons, this new combination is a breath of fresh air and is a major reason to the Bulls' early success. The supporting cast around DeRozan and LaVine has been quality as well. Lonzo Ball is one player I've really enjoyed watching on Chicago, and his defense has become a real X factor for this team. To show proof of this, Lonzo has been tasked with guarding some of the better offensive players from teams he has faced this season, and has done an elite job against them. For example, in Chicago's win over Utah, when Donovan Mitchell was guarded by Lonzo, he shot just 1 for 5 from the field. When New York came to town, Lonzo shut down Randle in his time against the big, with Julius shooting 1 for 5 also when guarded by Lonzo. And against Detroit, Jeremy Grant shot 0 for 5 from the field when defended by Ball. That incredible defense showcases Lonzo's undeniable positive impact to this team, and pair that with his great passing talents, he's become the two-way guard Chicago need to compete defensively, without sacrificing any offense at the same time. Alex Caruso is providing similar value to Chicago as Lonzo, helping out big time off the bench as a brilliant defender and shooter. Caruso is knocking down over 46% of his 3-point attempts this season, and also has Chicago's highest defensive box plus minus of +1.6, currently ranking him in the top 20 in the league in that category. If Caruso can continue to provide that impact throughout the season, it's going to increase Chicago's lineup versatility and make them a real threat to win the East. Finally, some other players I've liked on the team are Vucevic, Ayo Dosunmu, and Patrick Williams. Before his devastating and potentially season-ending injury, Williams was playing very well for Chicago and developing really nicely, so hopefully he can recover quickly, as he's a player Chicago truly need. Ayo Dosunmu is the Bulls' rookie. So far, he's provided good shooting as a spot-up shooter in the corner, as well as plenty of energy on the court. Even though he still necessarily isn't a good defender, he still pressures the ball a ton and makes players earn their shots, which is good to see as he's trying to earn his minutes as a late draft selection. Vucevic has continued to be solid offensively, and though his effort can be lacking at times, he gives the Bulls the big presence they need on both ends of the floor. Vucevic is also a good floor spacer, so his presence has been able to open up the lane a lot more for DeRozan and LaVine, which has made scoring for them in the mid-range and paint a lot easier, again, further contributing to the success of this team. But those are all the guys I want to focus on with Chicago today, as again, the overall construction of this roster seems to be playing out rather nicely. The second big reason why I think Chicago have been so good, however, which I did briefly touch on before, is their defense. As of when writing this video, the Bulls have the 4th best defensive rating in the league, and this leap in play on this end of the floor has turned them into a legitimate powerhouse. To use a recent match as a case study, the Bulls' defense has really kept them in games this season and has resulted in them winning some matches that they may otherwise have been unable to. The most obvious one I can mention is their game against Boston, where they held the C's to just 11 fourth quarter points as they went on to destroy them and win by 14 points. The game against New York as well. Though they didn't end up winning, Chicago was able to get many clutch stops down the stretch to bring themselves back into a seemingly unwinnable game. giving themselves a shot to win it. It just shows the improvements in Chicago are legit and will certainly make them a team to watch out for in the Eastern Conference. The defense just makes them that much tougher of a team to face. But with that all being said, how good will the Chicago Bulls be this season? I know it's early and I don't want to overreact too much, but you have to admit, these first 7 games are very promising signs. Aside from some slow starts haunting the team a little bit and making some wins a bit tougher than they need to be, the side has the resolve to fight back into games and take advantage of their strengths, particularly their defense. Right now, as a very early call, I think the Bulls can be a 50-win team this season and finish as a top 4 seed. Obviously, they're yet to play some other top teams like Philadelphia, Brooklyn, and Milwaukee that'll give us a better idea on how they stack up, but it's pretty clear they're going to be competitive with these teams. At the end of the day, Chicago Bulls fans should be very happy with this start to the season. The team looks damn good early on, and again, though they're yet to play some true championship contenders like the Nets, I think they've indicated enough that, barring any injury, this team should be at the very least a playoff side this season. Again, we'll wait and see how they go. But right now, it wouldn't shock me if the Bulls can finish as a top 4 seed out east this season, and potentially go on a deeper playoff run than initially expected. And that will conclude the video. What do you guys think of this? How good are the Chicago Bulls to you? How many games do you have them winning this season, and what are your thoughts on their play these first couple of weeks? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I am out. Peace.